12.575. Oh my god. What up guys, it is Justice here and welcome back to Runescape. In this video I'm going to be covering the Onslaught ability again, going through ways of maximizing your damage with it. I've been using it at Nex and I've been using it a little bit at Kalphite King just for a laugh there though, but mostly this is going to be focused on Nex, but I don't really want you guys to concentrate on the actual boss which I'm using it on. More so concentrate on the content, so the commentary behind this video around the Onslaught ability, different passive healing effects which I'm going to go through, and overall just giving you some useful tips about the Onslaught ability which should help you out in your PVM scenarios, and just comparing it against like Metamorphosis and things like that. So first off, Onslaught, in case no one watched my previous video, the hit damage of Onslaught is based on your weapon damage, and the amount of hits that you can get out of Onslaught is dependent on how high you or your opponent hits you. So if you can find ways to passively heal during the use of Onslaught, it can assist you in dealing greater damage, and that's what I'm going to go through in this video. And to be honest, this concept works across most PVM fights, and it's not just using Onslaught. For example, whilst fully zerked, it's useful to rip through your targets or wreck through your targets without eating, as you keep adrenaline higher and thus greater damage over time. So it's that concept but used in Onslaught, and that's why most people who Vorago DPS, for example, as well, they will compare their DPS rotations as it's purely DPSing the majority of the time with no need to eat, so you're able to reach your own personal best damage per minute. So if you want to confirm what works and doesn't work in terms of passive healing with Onslaught, all you need to do, guys, is just ask in the comments. There's so many to go through, so if you're unsure on anything like Soul Split, does it work? No. Different things like that, and then just let me know in the comments and we'll help each other out there, and I can help you guys. So in this video, there will be a focal point around midway through where I will focus on Nex. I'm going to show you how to maximize Onslaught at Nex. I've been doing loads of different methods here at Nex, finally coming up with the best one for me, and hopefully you'll find it very useful. And I actually managed to get a pre-sacrifice blood phase completed with Onslaught, and it's really awesome, man. I had so much fun doing it, but I'll go into that in a minute. Before we go into the next methods of using Onslaught, I'm going to have a look at the generic PVM situations and how passive healing factors can assist you with Onslaught in a wide range of those situations. So I'm going to go through a few passive healing techniques, which is definitely worth using. Even if you're not using Onslaught, a lot of these are worth using. So bonfiring and rocktail soup to increase your total life point capacity. If you're maxed out in life points and then you eat a rocktail soup on top of that, it will max out your life point capacity for a limited amount of time. Also, a great gunkan, this is a type of sushi. It heals you 1,500 directly and then 150 over time each second for 9 total seconds. And technically, this is the highest healing food in the entire game. You then want to have max damage gear in most situations whilst using Onslaught, but if you're Voragoing, I'd still advise to stick with Void. Just take Void, you don't need to take a switch or anything. Devotion and Mage Pray in the situation at Nex, for example, or in other situations, can help a lot. I don't use it to get a pre-sacrifice because it takes too much adren, because I already use an adren pot to get up to Onslaught, but it can help. And in many situations, using Devotion before you use Onslaught will prevent incoming damage for like 10 seconds whilst you're using Onslaught for the first time of using Onslaught, if the opponent's only attacking you with one type of attack style and you're praying against that attack style. It works fantastic as 100% protection from damage, and for those 10 seconds, and therefore you're keeping your life points higher and you're having a higher chance of getting more hits out with the Onslaught. Also, adrenaline potting up to Onslaught after you use Devotion is very useful, so save it for that. And even using Snipe, if you don't have an adren pot, for example, even using Snipe into an Onslaught when ranging, for example, works fantastic, because Snipe has that game tick delay whilst you use it, which is perfect for the blood phase in Nex, which I'm going to show you later on in this video. So let's actually look at the method here that I've used at Nex to maximize Onslaught and to make sure I get Nex down pre-sacrifice in the blood phase. So This is essentially called pre-phasing Nex. This works if you've got a very solid death swiftness rotation as well, but it's a lot easier to do with the Onslaught ability now. So pre-phasing Nex, hitting a snapshot essentially before the blood phase starts. Now, I need to practice even more at this. I can get one of those snapshot hits in before the blood phase begins. Maybe I'm getting two and I'm just not seeing it. But essentially you've got a snapshot before the blood phase starts, and to do this you want to use fragmentation shot on Nex. You can also use death swiftness, but you're not going to do that because you're using onslaught. So instead, which is probably what's making it harder for me actually, I'm using fragmentation shot on Nex, and you've got to time that perfectly. So I usually time that when I've got the minion below half life points, so then I'll tag Nex with a fragmentation shot, and as the minion dies I will use snapshot on Nex at that split second, and the fragmentation shot tags Nex into the blood phase and allows me to hit her with a snapshot before it actually begins, before she starts siphoning, and this is really awesome. I then use the adrenaline pot and then snipe into an onslaught, and that's how essentially I got the pre-sacrifice. I activate my Excalibur whilst my onslaught is cascading out, and with this you do have a very good chance of getting it down pre-sacrifice. If you don't manage to be able to snipe into an onslaught, you don't have to because you've already got your snapshot hit in there. Instead, you can just do a normal auto attack before you do your onslaught, and with a Nox longbow with two-hander weapons, the auto attacks are really awesome. So pretty damn good for like an auto attack, and you can get those in right before you use your ability. So that's the actual method you want to use, but before I actually managed to do this method, I managed to pull this off. So without any pre-phase and with Void on, honestly I don't know how this was possible. I used snipe into an onslaught and managed to cancel it right at the perfect time, and I got a pre-sacrifice blood phase completed without any pre-phase, which was just insane and seems ultra rare whilst using onslaught. And to be exact, for anyone who loves numbers out there, in order to actually pull this off, I managed to deal 40,000 damage within 10 seconds. So, these passive healing methods and prevention of damage intake will help you get the best out of Onslaught in situations where you are taking incoming damage. Yes, it's only going to slightly help you out. An extra hit with Onslaught though, you can really pay off. When you look at that huge KK hit in my intro, where I got lucky as well, but it all adds up. Anything to better your RNG in the long run. Let's have a quick look at that KK Onslaught. When you have a look at it in depth, I didn't get my record on from the start of using Onslaught, but I had a teammate, a fantastic heal evoker in the team, absolutely fantastic, and we're doing some KK trios, did some duos as well later this afternoon, trying out Onslaught there, but in the trio kills, I decided to do Onslaught at the right time, so I used Anticipate before I did it in the melee phase, so I knew there wouldn't be any attacks that would cancel my Onslaught. So I used Onslaught at that point at the right time, and was able to cascade quite a few hits out. The very last hit was huge, 12,585, I think it was there on the screen. Which is crazy. That was just so much fun. I've even like tweeted that out as well, and I was just flipping out. Oh my god, it was crazy, and I loved it so much. And after tweeting it as well, people were like, how the heck is that even possible? And we came to terms with, or a mutual agreement, that potentially it was my Keris weapon, or it must have been my Keris weapon, and the triple damage effect that the Keris weapon can inflict. It has a chance of tripling the damage output of one of your ability hits, and it must have tripled my very last Onslaught hit, which I could have got in there at KK. I mean, the chances of that happening are quite slim, and it was bloody amazing. It paid off in the end. And if you notice as well, if you look very carefully, my teammate, the heal evoker, he heals me at the exact right time, and I was just in complete disbelief. I didn't even realize he healed me until after I watched the clip back, because I think I ate a shark as well in the process, and I thought I just healed myself. But yeah, I didn't even realize he actually healed me. It was absolutely epic. So if you can coordinate that with your teammates when using Onslaught, it pays off. It really does. It's so much fun to use. So yeah, the passive healing effects, the timing with your teammates to coordinate healing other abilities with lunar spells whilst caded, all of that. It does take a bit of try-harding if you're going to do it, if you're going to try and pull these things off, and it's not for everyone. I'll only use these methods occasionally, as my preferred playstyle is casual. So is it worth using at Nex in Blood phase anyway? For me, no, if you have a sharpshooter / reckless aura and a solid death swiftness rotation where you know you'll get it within one siphon. But yes, it's worth it if you don't have an accuracy aura, which is off cooldown. It's probably worth using, as there's always a chance your snapshot, tendrils, or rapid fire will splash, which can really mess up my blood phases personally, but it is more risky. You can also, though, walk Nex in both of these situations to guarantee the blood phase finishes within one siphon, so you can always do that as well if you want to try hard in that way, and make sure that you get it done within one siphon. And some people might argue that using the Onslaught method is a more casual way of doing it, and for those who are struggling with their rotations, then this is a good alternative. But anyway, it's also important to know ultimates such as Death Swiftness, Sunshine, they do not boost the damage output of Onslaught, by the way. Also, in other bossing situations where you're using a defender, these have a 1 in 15 chance of parrying damage taken. So if you use a defender, it usually will allow you to get an additional hit of Onslaught in. That probably goes with any items that have a passive ability effect to parry incoming damage. And these other items are War Priest, for example, and the Leviathan Ring. So overall, if you can get through a full Onslaught of at least 10 hits, it can actually be better than pre-nerf meta if used correctly. For example, in the green bomb phase at hard mode Vorago with DPS's onslaughting, it can actually work out better than what pre-nerf meta used to. So it makes you think Jagex have gave us a trade-off from the nerf of meta with the buffing of Onslaught. Anyways, let's end the video, get away from all the reviewing and analyzing stuff, and I know this is a long video now and it's a lot to take in. This has taken me ages to create, but we're going to move on to the Zaryte Bow and have a look at my Nex Solo drop, guys. I got a Zaryte Bow Solo drop. It was awesome, and this was actually on the kill where I got almost a pre-sacrifice blood phase with Onslaught, where I got it to 783 life points off from tagging onto the minion, and I actually managed to get a Zaryte Bow Drop. Unluckily, not managed to get the footage because I'm ill at the moment, so I wasn't able to get live footage of my reactions, but I did manage to get it, as you can see on screen right now. It's an amazing feeling to get a Zaryte Bow Drop, especially when it's solo. It's actually worth 28 million GP, which is also a really nice bonus, and to be honest, that has cancelled out the cost of buying the Onslaught ability, the Mazcap ability codex, which I bought for like 27 mil off the Grand Exchange. So, you know, it's kind of balanced that out really. I've broken even, you could say. So that's awesome. And now I've pretty much soloed almost every Nex drop now, which is also pretty cool. So guys, thank you so much for watching. I will be producing some shorter videos later this week of me using Onslaught, most likely in other situations like Vorago, maybe a Raxor and things like that, just to test it out there. There'll be shorter videos though, because I don't need to go through all the information which I've talked about in this video at the beginning, like passive healing effects and also, you know, the actual Onslaught ability and how it actually inflicts damage and, you know, the mechanics behind it. So thank you so much guys for watching and listening, and I also challenge you listening to do a pre-sacrifice blood phase Nex Solo with the Onslaught ability without pre-phasing. That's the challenge to you guys listening right now. It would be awesome to see. Make a video, make a GIF, send it me on Twitter and let me check it out. And yeah, it is down to RNG in some ways as well. So give it a go, let me know how you get on. It'll be epic and frustrating at the same time. Trust me, it'll be a lot of fun. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.